GM, we are live, and this draft snap filled. My plan was to start this up and then see if we could fill it with you all, but unfortunately, I was number 11, and before I could type into the chat here, we were already off and running. But somehow, Al Boogie 78 managed to get his way in. So Al Boogie, I don't know if you're in the chat, but if you are, welcome, and I'm looking forward to drafting with you this morning. Bollock, GM, Mr. Candles, enjoy the stream. I'm off to the gym. Bollock, that is the best way to start the day, with the gym. So good luck out there. Dirty Pieces, how many Dalmatians did you get in? I got in 10. I assume you mean the fast 101 Dalmatians. I actually maxed it. I maxed it with ranks. And I would, every 15 to 20 drafts, I was entering 15 or 20 at a time, and then looking at my exposures to see if anything was getting really wonky. And I discovered I did not have QBs ranked high enough because I had 2 shares of Shadur Sanders, who was not even in my ranks. So whatever clump I was in, people were aggressively taking quarterbacks. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I did not draft a single one myself. It was pure rankings. I basically at the end realized I needed to have Scatabo at like pick 80 to get how much I wanted, because I had him at pick 100, which is like around 10 to 15 picks ahead of ADP, and I was only at like 25% somehow. So I don't know if I was just in rooms. Again, a lot of people were just putting ranks in and autoing. So you're going to end up against a lot of the same people. And so I might have just been against an even bigger Scatabo Slappy. So anyway, it was kind of a fun little experiment they ran. I wish it was open longer, because I think there's a market for people who want to play these $1 contests and draft them. But like the D-gens just filled it. They just set ranks and maxed it. and so I do feel for the people who were just trying to like rip a $1 draft because the contest is already full. But anyway, we're going to take Nico Collins here at pick 11. I think that's fine. We're not going to do anything too squirrely this first draft. We're kind of going to ease into it. Greg, happy Monday. Well, hopefully I think it's a pretty strong Monday. We're back on the clock after getting Nico in there, and we'll just take Genty. Why not? We'll do a little Nico Genty start. I think that's fine. Just kind of cruising along with the Chris Negus, GM. Wake up. Al Boogie, I see you in here at the 5 hole, starting off with CD Lamb. GM to you. Thank you so much for coming in. Greg got 5 fast Dalmatians in there as a low dollar merchant. I'm bumped. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like there's no way to avoid the D-gens just ripping 100 autos. And I think actually if you're a manual drafter, that's an edge. Like you're going to have better structure than the people like me who just, if I got a stack, it was pure happenstance. You're probably going to lose out on some ADP value unless the people, the ranks that people have in are really aggressive and they allow someone they don't like to fall. But if you're in a room with a lot of auto drafters, it's probably all going to equal out and you won't get much ADP value, but you're going to have an edge as far as the structure and being more intentional with your teams. But I think Underdog is going to learn from that lesson. That contest filled in 48 hours, that they're probably just, I imagine they're just going to keep running new ones all summer. I don't have that on any authority. I'm just, if I were them, I don't know why you wouldn't just jam those in, because I think like you said, Greg, there's people who want to do those. And then there's people like me who just sees an 101 max for $1 and are like, I'm just gonna windmill this in and see if we can't, get lucky somewhere. Best ball on call. GM to you. Thank you so much for popping in this morning. Yeah, Al Boogie. No, you're in this room, buddy. You are here. I am watching you as you take CD Lamb, Ladd, and T Higgins. T Higgins at 29. That's pretty nice. Nice start, and Ladd fell a couple picks. So this 3-man combo, right? You'll probably see some Lamb and Higgins, some Lamb and McConkey, but all 3 together. That's going to be somewhat unique. So nice start to you there. Let's see. We have Genty and Collins. Let's see what comes around to us. McLaurin is tough because I took him last night in the draft, and then Daniels went at the turn, and I was just kind of annoyed the rest of the draft because I'm not huge on McLaurin without Daniels. Maybe in that case, I should have taken Daniels first. But regardless, we are up, and I think I'm going to just take. I'll take a Breece Hall here. I'll take a Breece Hall. There are quite a few Breece Hall slappies out there, and he seems like he's a somewhat popular pick. I have my concerns about him, just from a usage perspective, but I don't want to be fully out on him, so I'll take him there. I was between him and Mike Evans, and we get Mike Evans. I'm just making sure I don't have any reason to take anyone else there. I think Evans is perfectly fine. So this has been a very ADP-driven draft by me, but we've started out with 2 receivers and 2 running backs. So we'll have a little bit of flexibility moving forward. And, if we're doing this with the eye towards a running back in the flex, then we certainly are on to a good start. 59 and 62 it depends if you get a faller, right? Like, Walker, Kamara, and Mixon would be a great ad for me. And then you fall into this next range of Harvey, Connor, Henderson, which are fine. But I think I feel a lot better about my team if I get kind of one of these 3. I don't mean or Hubbard, obviously, than if I have to dip into this next range of the Harvey, Henderson, Connor clump. But we'll see what the room presents to us. We'll open the board back up. And again, see, this guy gets McLaurin and Daniels there, which is a nice break for Mr. Kessel. And Al Boogie, he takes his first running back with James Cook. All right. Chris says they should ban badges from $1 contests. I mean, DraftKings, I don't know if they still do or if I just can't see them anymore, but they have like beginner contests for DFS, which you can't join if there's some criteria. I don't remember exactly what it is. If you join X contests or Y dollars or something like that. And I think that is really nice. And you might have hit on something on some kind of beginner contest for people who have done under a certain amount of these, or not hit $1 threshold. I think that is nice and does help like people get their feet wet and not just end up in a room full of experts. And so I do think you may have touched on something. Briscoe25 has touched on something. He has channeled his inner Gritty and said, I would like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts together. My goodness gracious me. That is aggressive. So I'm going to be on the lookout for quarterbacks potentially being weird in this room. And it's funny because he did not get Hurts even stacked with anybody. So he just is a robust QB. Bro, Jameson Williams at 52. Man, it never happens to me. But maybe that's because I take him at 45, so I never let him get to 52. Al Boogie, however, he takes Javonta Smith. He gets the Buffalo Eagles matchup there. Not a bad start for Mr. Al Boogie. I'll pull the board back up. It seems like maybe we will get lucky and get one of Hubbard or Mixon. We don't get Hubbard. Let's see. Mixon would be the first choice for me. I think I should have this sorted by ADP. My ranks are going to be very close to ADP because I did these ranks for that fast Dalmatian, and I didn't want to end up with like 100% of anybody. So they pretty much mirror ADP with a few guys I just excluded who I did not want. So that's a little unfortunate. We get frozen out there as far as Mixon. I'm going to queue up Ridley. I don't think there's any particular need to take somebody else. So we're going to take Ridley, and then we'll let him kind of pick for us between Connor, Henderson, and Harvey. I don't really have any strong lean towards I don't really have any super strong lean towards any of them. So we'll see what he provides to us. And now it's between Harvey and Connor. Maybe they're pretty close in my eye. They're pretty close. I guess I'll take RJ Harvey, thinking maybe this is more of a late season play. When I have Genty and Hall there, I can kind of push my some of my running back production later and think he's a little bit has a little more potential to maybe consolidate the workload late in the season than early on. But I think either pick would have been just perfectly reasonable there. All right. Let's see. Crander, GMGM, thank you so much for coming by this morning. Dirty P, this is a puppy. This is the puppy 2, we'll see if we do a BBM. I might just run some puppies this morning. Really was trying to save a lot more BBM bullets than I did last year for the very end when we get a little more training camp news. So I think I'm going to try to stand pat on those. But you know, you never know if there's a if there's a revolt in chat, maybe we get a BBM in. But probably a morning puppy. Al Boogie says, "Guys, keep doing what you're doing. I'm having fun." Yeah, I like your team, Al Boogie. I think you're onto something there. Let's see, you're on the clock. Caleb, I like Caleb a lot, especially now that Judkins is, with Judkins kind of removed from this range and pushed, 20-ish picks later, this range is now a lot thinner than it used to be. This left side of the board, you're going to have a lot more Swift, Pacheco, Montgomery, and Caleb. And those guys might start getting pulled up earlier and earlier if the Judkins fall happens. This guy gets Pacheco and Judkins. My heavens, he has one wide receiver through 7 rounds. So B. Footner going anchor wide receiver. You heard it here first, folks. Anchor wide receiver, the new meta. Anchor wide receiver and robust quarterback. We are breaking ground here at 8:39 in the morning. There goes Patrick Mahomes. This might be Al Boogie takes Tony Pollard. I like the Pollard pick. This might be a situation where for me, so I have Stroud, Ward, and Mayfield as my primary quarterback options. I would like to take Baker, I think, on this team. Just being at the turn, you get a lot less flexibility as quarterback because pushing them can be really risky. And if you get sniped on quarterback and you're not able to build stacks, that can be a little not great. Baker will definitely be one of these picks. It's just a question if I think I need to take him first. Does this guy have any? No, he doesn't have any Cardinals. And people do weird stuff and take naked quarterback. I am likely to just take Baker here. There's a bunch of wide receivers I'm into. I think I could pick at least one more receiver there. So I'm just going to take Baker. I'm not going to get cute and try to push it. So we'll add Baker to the team, and then probably I think Diggs is fine, Reed is fine, Downs is fine. That's just kind of the order that I prefer them in, but we'll see what DPM Khan does here. He takes Reed and also takes winds the clock. I actually think I'm going to do the double stack if that option presents itself. If not, that's okay. So he takes down. This is a little bit of a tough call. I kind of almost think I prefer Diggs to the Baker double. This is a little bit interesting. Diggs has the potential to be the wide receiver 1 on an offense led by Drake May, who we're all really in on. Also opens Drake May as a potential quarterback, and I think his ADP is going to line up with us. Hits 115, and we are 108, 110. So this could potentially open up a Drake May pick. Interesting to see what people think. Do you value the double stack with the rookie or the, adding an additional potential wide receiver 1? It's a tough call for me. I just think in a vacuum, Diggs has a lot more ceiling than, the rookie in a very crowded offense. I know his draft capital is really as good as you can get. So I think there's an argument for either one. Don't know if any people have any thoughts here. Lay the house, RM. GM, thank you so much for coming by. Don't get arrested. Yeah, too much of that going around. Too much of that going around this weekend. The exclusion in your auto ranks. Tell me more. It was really because I forgot to take out Najee Harris, and so I was getting a ton of Najee. So he's out. I took Tyrone Tracy out because I'm literally, if Tyrone Tracy is who you need, I don't want to win the fast Dalmatian. I'd just rather go down in flames. Like, I'm not going to win the fast Dalmatian with my 3 Tyler Tracy lineups. So just might as well say he's out. So I think I don't think I even had him. I just nuked him out of the list entirely. Crander seen crazy stuff in the puppy 2 streets. Yeah, people do some wonky stuff. Judkins snapped pick. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This one hole. not Mr. Current Events here. Not Mr. Current Events in the one hole. I have Mason over Judkins every time since the news. Yeah, I feel like that's probably fine. One hole, building a winner. Yeah, I mean, this guy's out there vibing, right? Like, he's got Jamar Chase, he's got Cooper Kupp, and Marvin Mims. I mean, those guys are going to be starting every week. Good luck to you, Mr. One Hole. Quinshon Judkins, his late season hammer. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he did get the Chase Burrow double. Maybe if he can, if late wide receiver pans out, he could actually build, unironically, a really strong team. But yeah, it's a little bit of a thin bet. Just a touch of a thin bet there. Question for us: what do we do? And as much as I like Scatterbo, oh no, they took Ingram. I was going to say to take Ingram. I think I'm just going to take Drake May, because this guy doesn't have any quarterbacks and people tend to take Drake naked. So I'm just going to add Drake May to the team and then decide if we want a tight end. I think my preference would be Scatterbo 1, and then, yeah, I was going to say one of these tight ends, but I'm really not that big on Warren. This is, Njoku could even come back to me. He'll randomly fall. So let's take Scatterbo. This team now could line up for a 3-5-7-3 sort of build. I feel pretty good about these running backs there. And now I can just add one late and not feel like I've got to get up to 6. Quarterback situation's looking pretty good with Baker and Drake May. Wide receiver room of Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, and Steph Diggs. So we've got Evans stacked, we've got Diggs stacked, and we can decide if, I think Stroud is going to be pretty close to where we pick, so we could just stack Stroud, or we could push it off and try to take a late Cam Ward. Let's see what Al Boogie is doing. So since getting James Cook and Devonta Smith, he adds Jordan Addison, getting a nice fall on him since the sort of beginning of draft season, all the way down at 68. Tony Pollard, TJ Hawkinson, Jaden Higgins, and J.K. Dobbins. I like the Higgins pick a lot. Pretty much none of the second round picks have signed. And there is a big contract dispute for some reason. I don't fully understand the inner workings of it, but Higgins is one of the only ones that signed. And Higgins got a fully guaranteed contract. And the theory that I've read, and I don't know if it's true, is that has kind of mucked up the market for second round picks, because now all of them want that. And I don't know if that's true, but I'm willing to see the vision of that, well, Jaden Higgins got all his money guaranteed. Why can't I? The Texans are not exactly known for doing the smartest things all the time, but they certainly have potentially created some havoc in the rest of the league. And Trey Harris hasn't signed yet over with the Chargers, so that's causing some issues. And so we'll just see if we get some weird holdouts from different second round picks, including some receivers and running backs that we're excited about. Justin Herbert goes to our friend Al Boogie, so he gets the Herbert Lad stack. That's pretty nice there for him. Let's pull the board up, see what's coming up to us. So Trey Harris is plummeting. I don't know if that's on the news that he hasn't signed, or if we're just giving the room a lot of credit for that. Unclear, but very interesting to see him falling. Also, later in the season, the slappy normie slider bar starts evening out, and so rookies can fall a little bit. Kyle Williams makes sense on this team with Drake May. We could do a Drake May double stack. So Trey Harris goes there. Let's see. Does this guy have any? I'm trying to see if this guy would have any reason to take Stroud from me versus, say, McCarthy or T-Law. If T-Law's there, this guy has to take T-Law, right? It wouldn't make sense for him to take Stroud. So we're going to risk it. We're going to try to go for the Drake May double stack. I'm hoping this guy just takes T-Law and Tootin. I think that would make a ton of sense for his team. If Stroud goes, then we'll probably just take Dallas Goedert. But this is lining up to be a 3 late tight end team. That's fine. I can live with that. Hopefully we can hit on something. So he does go Lawrence Tootin. I think there was really no reason to do anything too different from that. So we'll just take our third quarterback. So going over the team, we have a 3-4-5-0. So we're really going to push tight end. We've got Baker Mayfield, Drake May, and CJ Stroud, Ashton Genty, Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Cam Scatabo, and then a wide receiver room of Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Steph Diggs, and Kyle Williams. I'm not the biggest Kyle Williams guy, but I do think he made a certain amount of sense on this team. Maybe you could argue that Goddard would have been a better pick because we do need a tight end on the team. But again, I don't mind the tight ends in this kind of range here. This is sort of backup running back country. And with 4 running backs I'm excited about, I don't necessarily need to fish for one in that range. Dang, I did not see that QJ news. Oh, it's funny. Judkins. Yes, I was thinking QJ, our favorite receiver over in LA, who is now rising a little bit on the Trey Harris holdout. So there has been some multiple QJ news. Yeah, Greg, pretty tough stuff. Hopefully the fact pattern is not too bad, and that this is something that can be resolved. But yeah, tough. It is tough to see that. Greg, rip to my big board team. Dirty P says he is the biggest slappy of them all. Well, I hope you like this team then, Dirty P, as we are leaning into the strength of Steph Diggs. Crander agrees about it being Higgins' fault. And Ant Xwall says, I would have taken Trey Harris there, Ant Xwall. Don't you worry. I would not have let him get past me. I think that's a little silly. I do sadly see myself taking more QJ. I mean, he just seems like he's such a Harbaugh guy. I think he's going to at the very least have early season production, and he was a first round pick, right? Like I'm not ready to give up on him. He does seem to produce, even though it's like the ugliest football you'll ever see. Boogie loves to push QBs. Well, you were rewarded with this Justin Jefferson fall. My goodness, 140 is a nice place to pick him up and pairing up with Addison. So Herbert and Herbert and McCarthy at the 11th and 12th round. Pretty nice, Al Boogie. So I like the team you're concocting there. Trey Benson, perfectly reasonable backup running back here. Let's come around and see what the room is handing to us. So unfortunately, as nice as the 12 hole has been, I will take Brenton Strange if he is there. And I would love to also take Hunter Henry. I think even with the stack, I prefer Strange a little bit to Henry. I think Strange is just a very solid play. Garendo, Algier, like these guys are all fine, but I think I really just need to click a starting tight end. So I'll take Strange there. Hunter Henry, he's fine. If he goes, then I'll take Mike Gesicki. He'd be certainly a reasonable enough tight end too on the team. But I think making a Drake May triple is with enough allure to where we'll add him in there. Again, with apologies to the turn for taking away Strange, who would have made sense for his team. All right. So we double tap tight end there, adding Strange and Henry as our first 2 tight ends in the room. Let's check the quarterback situation here. So Cam Ward is still out there, which, in another world, I don't take Stroud, right? And I add a different position and I get Cam Ward. Certainly interesting to think what that might have looked like, where I got Stroud was like my pick of tight end as far as like the likely Goddard, Fergie, Jonnu kind of range. Not really missing out on these receivers. Again, I mentioned QJ. I like him well enough, but I think taking Stroud there was fine. I don't think the 2v2s are anything too killer. You could just imagine Ward and Goddard versus Stroud and Henry. I think you could make an argument for either of them. Just interesting stuff to think about there. All right. Nice JMC fall. JMC. I'm sorry, it's too early, and who is JMC? I think you know what's sad, Al Boogie, is I hear JMC and I think Jewish McCaffrey, and I can't get past that. So I'm sorry. I don't know I am blanking, and I'm sure it's going to be super obvious. Herbert can support 3 receivers even on a run heavy team. I believe that Herbert is fantastic, and I'm never sad to end up with a Herbert team. Oh, JJ McCarthy. Okay, yes, yeah, no, that's a that was a nice fall for there. Yes, sorry, best ball on call. I've never really referred to him as that, but I think that makes sense. Al Boogie then gets Cam Ward. He gets Cam Ward. Everything good. Now it's not stacked, but he's fine to take unstacked. He's he's gonna have some rushing upside. Your tight end is thin, so I imagine Chig is probably a potential candidate for your team. Yeah, great stuff there. I like what you have put together. Yeah, Al Boogie is cooking. Get out of my room, Al Boogie. You're taking one of the advancing spots. You have Pollard. Okay, I thought I saw a Titan and then I scrolled too fast. You having a high chess rating is astonishing. I'm being insulted on my channel here. Terrible. Yeah, no, I am. I'm like I think I'm like 2070 in Blitz on chess.com. Let's take, man, should I if I don't get Jalen Noel, I'm fine. But I think I really like Rico Dowdle as a 5th running back. I think he's is such a good late round running back compared to some of the guys that go in this range. I don't know if this guy thought he was taking McMillan from me in revenge or he just likes McMillan. Either way, I wasn't going to take him. I would rather take Jalen Noel, I think, than McMillan. Although maybe this really is Cade Otton just melting from my queue. We'll take Jalen Noel there. I think that's fine. Cade Otton he's very contingent heavy, and when they did add in Igbuka, that's going to be so many pass catchers to feed. So we'll take Jalen Noel. We'll hope this slot demon stuff is nonsense. But yes, Aunt Xwell, one day I'm hoping to win a big best ball contest to get on Liam's radar, and then we could have the greatest chess match in history, him versus me. But I would definitely be a dog to Liam. I would probably be he'd probably be minus if we played 10 games. I've thought about this. I think if I played 10 games against Liam to result, I think Liam would probably win 8 of them. I think that's how it would go. I don't think he'd beat me every time. I think I could get there, but he's definitely is better than me, but not by a ton. All right. I think he's like 2,200 on there. All right. But he also teaches chess like for a living. So he is certainly the superior player. I'm not under any assertions otherwise. So Al Boogie says, I don't want Chig. He says, forget Chig. I want Will Shipley chasing. So we'll see if Al Boogie has another late round tight end he is more into, but he does have Hawkinson, right? I'd consider Hawkinson and sort of as the last of that elite tier. Getting him at 92 is nice. A lot of good followers for Al Boogie. So we got to think one of the advancers is Al Boogie and the other is the one hole. Let's check in on the one hole. The one hole, he kind of just drafted normally after taking his very aggressive 1 running back through 7 picks. Tried to make up with it in volume. I think there's room for this kind of build in a portfolio where if you get like a Puka spike out of a Betch or a Bryant or kind of just some huge upside and wide receiver in your running back smash, that could work. It's not how I want to build most of the time. I'm not saying to do this a lot, but quantity or quality, not both. And who knows, maybe anchor wide receiver will actually unironically be used in the future. Probably not, but you never know. I think I don't really like Dalton Schultz, but he just makes a whole lot of sense on this particular team. Unfortunately, he makes sense on Big Pro Joe's team. I'm going to take Theo. I think he is sort of the end of the road. And then I just want to think, who do I want as my last receiver on this team? Yoshi Voss is fine. Do I have anyone? I'm trying to think if I have any stacks or bringbacks that make a ton of sense for this. You know what? I'll do We'll do Westbrook Ikeen. I don't have a Dolphin. This would be a week 17 bring back for Baker. I didn't really focus too much on week 17 stuff on this team. With the New England stack, they are playing the Jets, so I get, I have that. Genty plays the Giants, so we've got a little bit there. Not something I was really prioritizing on this team, but I like the way the team turned out. So to recap this crew, we have got Baker, Drake May, CJ Stroud at quarterback, Genty, Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Scatabo, and Dowdle at running back, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Steph Diggs, Kyle Williams, Jalen Noel, and Westbrook Ikeen at receiver, and Brenton Strange, Hunter Henry, and Theo Johnson at tight end. Let's see, Al Boogie, the way he finished his team off was Juwan Johnson. I was going to say you were a minus 600 favorite to take Juwan Johnson there. We'll see your last pick, and then I'm going to hop into another puppy. He'll try to count it down from 5. Escrod, he's already going to head over to the other puppy I can see because he's auto drafting without pushing the plane. Very rude, Mr. Scrod. Let's see what Al Boogie does. Or did he do the same? Tisk, Al Boogie, making everybody wait on you. Let's see who you take. He takes... Oh my gosh, I hit the wrong button. He takes Keaton Mitchell. He takes Keaton Mitchell. All right. I like your team, Al Boogie. I think you really scooped the ADP value on that team and built a pretty well-constructed room. So I'm going to count it down from 5 seconds and then hop in this one. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we are in. We're waiting for 3. So if you want to get in now. Henix Wall hasn't taken much Nick Westbrook Ikeen. Keenan has been linked to the Dolphins. Yes, that would send all my Westbrook Ikeen essentially to 0. So we'll see. But as a Dolphins fan, I could live with that. I would I think Keenan would be a really fun wide receiver 3. Dirty P says, nice team chat. Thanks, Dirty P. I like the way that turned out. Team that makes sense. Got good stacks. I think it was well constructed. Seems good to me. Kelly Lapidus, solid teams. Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming by this morning. Skeletor, GM Chad, GZ on the light UFC DFS work. Yes, I did something I don't recommend doing, which was chasing overlay and going over my normal buy-ins on UFC DFS. I don't normally play the 5-5-5 unless I sat in, but it was a minute left and there were 60. It was I think 60 out of 400 spots were unfilled. So I said, I'm just going to chase this overlay. I entered the 5-5-5 and I got third. So I shipped 15K on UFC DFS, which was pretty cool. Nice way to end the day. Derek Lewis, my king, love the guy. And he got there for us. So third place with one fighter who just did not show up for me is more than I could ever have hoped for. So thank you, Skeletor. I did have a good weekend in the DraftKings MMA streets. Let's see who got in with us. Dirty P got in. That is good to see. And of course, Big Bro Joe back there. Love to see him. I don't know who that is, by the way, but he was in the last room. And yeah, I don't think anyone else got in, but that's okay. I don't feel like it was my fault. This one did not snap fill and there was no underflow. So Dirty P, thanks for hopping in here as you get Justin Jefferson, and we will keep open the board and see what happens. Nothing too out of the ordinary. The great flippening has happened. Saquon now all the way out at 4, which is not out of the ordinary. Hold on. What? Give me 1 second. What's going on here? All right. Xfinity was asking if I was experiencing a power outage. No, we're good. The lights are still on. And with these lights that are on, I'm going to take Puka Nacua. So again, just taking by ADP what we're getting here. The 8-hole isn't a place I love to get super cute unless I'm taking a Derrick Henry or a JT, doing some kind of, taking 2 second-round picks who could potentially be first-round picks to get weird combinations. I think that's fine. I don't want to do any kind of crazy board flipping or anything like that. But, there is something to be said for taking A-Chain there and then, stacking on a Henry, because there's not going to be a lot of Henry A-Chain teams, or Jonathan Taylor, A-Chain, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. I think those kind of things are perfectly fine to do, and they're going to get you a little bit unique. But obviously you are telling yourself a story where that outperforms this elite tier of receiver there. But not doing that this draft. We'll see what the next draft brings to us. A board coming around to us. Puka. I would probably just take Henry here. I don't take as much AJ Brown as I should, so I guess I'll take AJ Brown if Derrick Henry goes. Morty G, let's see what he does. He takes Henry, so we'll just take AJ Brown. We'll go by ADP here. This potentially, maybe we'll look at making this a Josh Allen team. I don't take a whole ton of Josh Allen, but Allen Brown is a week 17 stack, and maybe we'll add a little Josh Allen to the portfolio, but not something I necessarily need to prioritize, but does potentially push me towards doing that. Al Boogie, I stayed out of this one for you, Chad. Well, Al Boogie, I always enjoy drafting with you, but I do appreciate it because you cooked that draft, I have to say. So I thank you for leaving a little something for the rest of us. All right, Brock Bowers, Saquon there, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan. So a robust RB bro is Buster's Boys. And let's see what Dirty P does to add to his Justin Jefferson. He takes Rashee Rice. So he gives Hund Pund the chance to go massive Bengals stack here. Let's see if Hunt Pund takes that opportunity or he passes it. He stacks him with Chase with a Cardinal. You see that quite a bit. And what does he do with his next pick? He takes Garrett Wilson. So he does not choose to fully stack the game. Garrett Wilson, of course, again, I am one of my favorite clicks on the board, but you usually have to be on the left side of the board to get him unless you do some kind of large reach. Dirty P adds Josh Jacobs to the team. So he starts with Jefferson, Rice, and Jacobs. For me, kind of thinking ahead, we're up at 32. I'll queue up Josh Allen. If Josh Allen goes, then I think it will just be... I don't love Puka Adams, but, maybe if we have to, we'll do it, but I'd really rather not. I don't love the way my teams look doing that, unless maybe I got, say, a Drake May, and so I'm just like giga stacking that game. But that's generally not my preferred build. So Devontae Adams goes. I don't get the choice. We'll take Josh Allen. We'll make this a Josh Allen team here. So we've got Puka, AJ Brown, and Josh Allen. The first decision I'm going to have to make is, do I take James Cook? He's very often here at 41, so you can do a Cook Allen team. I think I would have liked this more going into last year when I thought of Cook as having a little bit of pass catching chops. They really kind of stopped doing that. He didn't really have as many receptions as he seemed capable of. I don't mind it though. You're still definitely getting a lot of the touchdown equity in Buffalo, but the fact that they use Rice and CJ, gosh, why am I Tyler Johnson? They use their three-headed committee. I'm struggling this morning, guys. I apologize. Did not sleep well, but what I'm trying to say is you're not capturing all of the touchdown equity like you are when you do the Lamar Henry teams, and you're going to get like 95% of the touchdowns. You are running the risk of missing out on some of those. So Evans and Daniels and Jackson go there. This is kind of elite QB range. Let's take a George Kittle. I like George Kittle. I like George Kittle quite a bit. This is the kind of new range that he goes. He's been going around here in most of these contests. I will forego the James Cook situation, and I take a ton of Jameson Williams. So we'll let him pass this time to build a little differently today. All right, and now I'm gonna have to do it. While Pete has his coffee pours, I just have my McDonald's coffee, and I've been talking for 37 minutes straight, so I'm gonna have some coffee here. All right. Yeah, not the satisfying coffee pour, just the kind of like awkward coffee shake. This is what happens. This is why we're the undercard here. Let's see what our friend Dirty P does. adding to his 2 receiver, 1 running back team. He takes George Pickens. I like the selection there. Will Hunt Pund take Burrow, or will he attempt to push him? Where did Higgins go? Why? I'm like, this has not been my morning. Where's T. Higgins? Oh, he's right here. That's where I was. That was the first team I was looking for, and I don't know why I couldn't see him. So he does not. And then Hunt Pund takes Jalen Hurts. Very interesting there. Very interesting there. Often you'd see Buster's boys who took Devontae get Hurts. So Hunt Punt, I think I said the wrong name. Hunt Punt takes Jalen Hurts. That's kind of interesting out of the one hole to take an unstacked Hurts. But this does seem like maybe this Buster's boys will be able to pull off the Burrow push. We will see if that happens. Although the Chase Brown drafter is over here, and they are always live to snap off snap off Joe Burrow. All right, coming to us, we are in the market for a running back, I think, although this is a very nice fall on Cortland Sutton. Don't find myself with a ton of Sutton, but I'm going to take him in this case and tell myself I can catch up at running back later. So we will add Sutton to the team here and hope that one of these running backs we like. I will just queue them up in this order. Might shuffle the end out a little bit, but I would definitely prefer Kamara or Mixon to the other guys. I think as far as the way bye week shake out, Kamara is nice because there's not a ton of week 11 buys. Yeah, you don't run into that problem too much. So we'll queue up Alvin Kamara. If all of these running backs go, then I will just take another receiver. And just figure I will figure it out later because I don't really want to reach all the way down to Montgomery. Maybe I would take Caleb Johnson, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully we don't have to make that decision because I would rather not. And it is not like I'm getting any kind of falling Olave or Odunze. I really would just be taking a receiver at ADP when this team is kind of calling out for a running back as considered. Dirty P had considered taking CD over Justin Johnson. Jefferson. So I decided to pull up Pickens. Makes sense. And you're directly leveraging off of the other people in that position when you do that and when you make those kind of decisions. Let's take RJ Harvey and build out a little Denver stack here. I know I took Harvey in my next draft, but I think that makes sense. We're going to make a bet on the Broncos. Potentially this puts Bo Nix into play on this team. If we take Bo Nix, then that certainly might lead us more towards a 2 QB build. But, if it's the 18th, 17th, 18th round and a starting QB is on the board, we could always be flexible there. And there's no guarantee we'll get Bo Nix because I don't think I want to take him at 89 as a second quarterback. And there's a pretty darn good chance he will not be there at 104 with this many picks between. So we'll have to make a decision if we want that. We could also potentially, at 80, take Mahomes if he comes to us. That's around where he goes. And then backstack Mahomes and build a Mahomes versus the Broncos week 17 thing. So we've got a few options on this team. For certain, Puka Nacua, of course, is stackable late with Stafford. So we'll see, although the Devontae Adams drafter is here. So if I wanted to take Stafford, it would have to be at 137 because there's no way he would come all the way back to me with the Adams drafter there. All right, let's see where Judkins goes in this draft. He did not fall last draft, but that one hole was also a little squirrely. This is fine. GM, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out this morning as we try to build a shipper here. Interesting choice. Judkins will not be the pick. I don't take a lot of Khalil Shakir. But if I'm ever going to take Khalil Shakir, I should probably just take him stacked on this team. I think he's pretty mediocre pick, but I don't know if I want to have Stone 0, but he just is so, I just think he's a pretty limited player. He never really has huge ceiling weeks. We think of last year as having an awesome year for him, and he had 4 touchdowns. Just a lot of mediocre wide receivers in that room, and I don't think he's like separates above any of them. They have a lot of guys that kind of do the same thing, but we'll take a Khalil Shakir share and probably try to get to like 3-4% of him. I don't want to have absolutely zero of potentially the leading pass catcher for the Bills, even if I don't love it. I like Coleman more. I like Kincaid more because, they go later. I feel like they should all go kind of in the same range, and he's significantly earlier than the rest of them. My main preference here would be Jordan Mason. I don't like B-Rob at all. I take almost none of him. I don't think he's that great. Again, I think this is too early to take Nick. So let's take Jordan Mason on this team. Another wide receiver is definitely going to be a priority, but if Bo Nix falls all the way back to us, then we will take him with our next pick. But I don't think Nix will be there at 104, especially being that multiple people have no quarterbacks on this side of the board. And now Burrow and Mahomes, the same drafter took both of them. And so that's going to put even more QB pressure on these people over here. So just something to keep in mind when you're looking at the board when stuff like that happens, especially in the onesie positions. Buster Boys, this guy, he opened robust RB and then went 5 straight receivers. So just seeing people doing different builds. Let's check in on Dirty P. After taking Jefferson, Rice, and Jacobs, he goes Pickens, Chuba Hubbard, Sam Laporta, and Jerry Jeudy. Like all those selections you've made over there, Dirty P. Nice balanced team you have begun to put together. All right. So thinking to what we're going to do at 104, Keon Coleman would be interesting. Although if we take Coleman, that's probably at the expense of like a Scatabo, who I do love. Scatabo would have to go a few picks past ADP. These guys have been somewhat running back heavy, so it's possible we'll get away with it. Might be worth it to take Coleman and build out that double stack. If not, then 128, 137. Those are potentially Kincaid range. That's right at that second pick's right at ADP for Kincaid. So I don't really like to triple up Josh Allen. I kind of like to take 2 receivers at most and hope that those are the 2 you need. Dirty P takes Scatabo there. I will never judge anyone for taking Cam Scatabo. I think running back is actually pretty darn thin in this range, and so I don't have a problem there. He knows Scatabo's not going to come back to him, so I think that's fine. So he takes Coleman also. So Dirty P taking everything I love from me, but that's okay. Again, I think those are the best players of that type in that range. I probably would have leaned for him Kupp over Coleman, but I would not begrudge anyone for thinking Kupp is kind of washed and making that pick. This is a fall on Baker, but I have no reason to take him. I did not get Bo Nix. I could potentially take Purdy here and stack Purdy with Kittle. Unfortunately, there goes Purdy. So that's out the window. And now I have to decide what the heck am I doing here. We're not going to panic is what we're not going to do. So you know what? We take Travis Kelce, because that is a bring back on Denver, even if we don't have the quarterback. Now we've gone, I don't think these guys have the same bye week. No, we're going to go double elite tight end. I say elite, we're going to stop at 2 tight ends is what I'm saying. It's what I'm telling you guys is we're going to stop at 2 tight ends, get Travis Kelce. Does that preclude us from getting Kincaid? Yes, but I think that's fine here. I do like that week 17 game well enough, that Denver, Kansas City game. It could be low scoring, right? Those are 2 pretty good defenses, but I could see Josh Allen having a big game and outscoring either quarterback there, and yet still having that Denver Kansas City game being somewhat back and forth. So we will add that to the team. We could get really creative and take Dobbins and then lock up the entirety of the backfield in Denver. That might be getting a little clever, I'm afraid. Luther Burden, I think, is an interesting pick on this team. My 4th receiver is Khalil Shakir, who I'm not excited about. So let's add Luther Burden, a guy that I kind of am excited about. And, we might end up with, this could even be like a 3-7-6-2 team or something like that. Like we could really end up with 7 running backs if we have to. With Puka, Brown, Sutton, Shakir, and Burden, that's pretty strong, right? We're making some reasonable bets on Puka, Brown, and Sutton kind of leading the charge here, with Shakir pitching in on games when that's the big Allen game. So we're gonna try to stay flexible here. I'm not gonna lock myself into any kind of structure, but what I don't think I can afford to do is take another tight end. And again, unless we get some kind of like supreme value, then I think this might just be a 2 tight end team. Dirty P, he takes JJ McCarthy, so he gets the nice McCarthy, the McCarthy Jefferson stack there. Dirty P, my last 2 picks may have hurt your feelings. Nothing, Dirty P, I am not offended at all. I think they made sense for your team. I would have liked them. I would have liked them on my team, so I can't say they're bad for your team. Who Hames, sup fam? Who Hames, so thank you so much for coming by this morning. If you all don't subscribe to Who Hames, you should, because Who Hames, this stream is fantastic. He is out there in the content streets 7 days a week, which is awesome. I really admire how hard you're working there, Who Hames, and your stream is so much fun to tune into and draft with. I wasn't able to get in your draft last night, but I just missed it, and then I just said, you know what, I'm gonna just watch. I didn't even draft in the overflow room. But so anyway, Who Hames, great stuff. Thank you so much for coming in. Oh, Who Hames, 6 days. I never do Fridays. Okay, perfect. I respect that. 7 days a week is tough. PPR Tyler streaming every day for like 150, 160 plus days now is it's just incredible. The dedication there. I really am impressed with what some of these guys are able to do. So let's see. I don't have a. What do we want to do here? What do we want to do? I guess I'm gonna take my heart wants to take Tootin, but I think my head says Tajay Spears is a little bit better of a pick. This team with Harvey and Mason is very, very thin at running back, and so we need someone that is going to be more than just a contingent back and produce. You know, I love Tootin. I think he's a nice big upside swing. I will take him with my next pick if he is there, but I don't think taking him ahead of Spears would have been good. If Tootin goes, my goodness. You know, thinking back on it, maybe I would feel a lot better about this team if Travis Kelce was a running back, and then I could take Kincaid. But I mean, Travis Kelce could just have an 800-yard, 8 touchdown season, and it's like, yeah, why weren't we taking Travis Kelce? Like he can give you really good production out of the tight end spot. But we'll see. We'll see what we get. I don't think it makes sense to take T-Law or Stroud here, even though these running backs in this range are pretty darn thin. If Tootin goes, I don't know, maybe Rachaad White over Benson. That's unfortunate that Tootin just went there. The other thing we could do is take a wide receiver here and then just essentially completely just hammer down on running backs after this. If we want Stafford's at 155. We pick at 152. But Nash Villainy only has one quarterback, and they don't have anyone else. I mean, they could stack Cam Ward. This is risky, but I think I'm going to take Hollywood Brown. I think I'm going to take Hollywood Brown and then stop at 6 receivers. So this so far is a 1-3-6-2 room with Josh Allen, RJ Harvey, Jordan Mason, Tajay Spears, Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, Cortland Sutton, Khalil Shakir, Luther Burden, and Hollywood Brown, in a tight end room of George Kittle, Travis Kelce. Folks, this team is not that good. I have definitely built better teams than this. I'm sorry. You guys deserve better from me. We're going to see if we can't land this plane, but yeah, kind of got away from me a little bit. I'm not really able to do much stacking. Really going to depend if we can get Stafford or not. I think that's kind of going to be the make or break point. I don't love my, for having 6 receivers, somehow they're like not that strong. I don't feel like, but I think part of it is just just not loving Khalil Shakir. Doesn't feel like enough upside for my fourth receiver. But again, sometimes you got to make these teams that you're not super comfortable about, or your teams are all going to look the same. I like the Burden pick. I like the Hollywood Brown pick, but again, my running back room is very, very thin, and so we're going to try to make that up with volume and just take really kind of commit to this 3-7-6-2 build here. Doing something a little different. All right, GM Lutz, thank you so much for coming in. Huhaim says Tyler is built differently. I'd be doing that as well if my Friday schedule wasn't so wild. Yeah, I mean, it has got to be tough to do it 7 days a week. DQ105, elite tight end plus QB, just hope to have wide receiver value. Yeah, that's probably what it is, right? I took two early detours, and I really needed Cam Ward or Bryce Young to be there for Nashville and no, please don't take him. He has Tet McMillan, so he needed Bryce Young. Oh gosh, this is where it all goes to zero. Dear God, he takes Stafford. We knew that was coming. Yeah, and I could have just taken Josh Palmer later. Not my best work. All right, let's take Let's take Geno here. Why not? Why not? Why not take an unstacked Geno Smith and just annoy everybody in the room? I don't want to get totally frozen out at quarterback here, and I think that is possible. So we'll take Geno Smith on the team. That again, I knew, I said this like 5 rounds ago that this guy would take Matt Stafford. I was hoping Bryce Young would fall, and he would take Bryce Young. And if I got Bryce Young, that would have been kind of okay, I guess. And then I definitely should have taken Cam Ward to stack with Tajay Spears. But at the last second, I wavered for some reason, and I took Geno Smith. You hate to see it, folks. You really hate to see it, but they cannot all be winners. And let's just see what the room gives to us. Probably take Bigsby or Wright. If not, I will, maybe I will just take Cam Ward and just end this team with 3 wide receivers. But I do want to get 3 drafts in. So I am going to fire up another one after I make this pick, and we're going to multi-table for a minute or two. I'm actually just going to take Sam. No, I'm not going to take Sam Darnold. You know what? I don't like 2-7-7-2 at all, but if Josh Palmer falls to me, I'm just going to take Josh Palmer. And okay, this is we're going to take Sam Darnold. And we're going to just queue up a whole bunch of running backs. I am going to have to babysit this because my position limits are going to tell me that this team is no good, and it will not continue to draft running backs for me. You can kind of see some of these late round running backs that I like. This is a rough order of how I would take them. So we've got a 3-3-6-2, and we're just going to keep adding running backs. But again, I want to get out of here before Best Ball Breakfast comes on. That is such a fantastic show that Pete puts on. And I know a lot of you are going to head over there. So let's hop in another puppy 2. I'm going to count this down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are in. And we're going to multi-table for a minute, waiting for 2. If anyone wants to hop in, please feel free. I'm going to have this view up for a minute. I'll go back to the draft and let's see what Dirty P is doing. I do not want to abandon him. Dirty P has he's got Justin Jefferson, Rashee Rice, Josh Jacobs, George Pickens, Chuba Hubbard, Sam Laporta, Jerry Jeudy, Keon Coleman, Cam Scatterbo, JJ McCarthy, Jared Goff, Xavier Legette, Bryce Young, and Will Shipley chasing. I like this, this sort of late round just add water stack you get in Carolina. I think that's pretty nice the way the board gives you that. Let's see. I think the other one just filled. Starts in 38 seconds. I'll head over there after I make this pick. I don't really care too much if my first pick gets autoed, but hopefully we have enough time to get that done before 10. This draft felt like it moved pretty quickly. All right. This is fine. Says this is how I feel about most of my teams. Yeah, I'm honest with you all. If I like a team, I will tell you, and if I think a team is crummy, I will tell you that too. And I don't think this was I don't think this team went the way I hoped it did. I will tell you that with all sincerity, but you know what? We fight on. We're not going to give up the ship. I think, we're just going to take a lot of running backs and hope we can make it up with volume. I think Braylon Allen is fine. Let's see. We have Geno and Darnold. We don't have any hope of like backstacking a running back. Maybe we'll add Damian Martinez to this team because why not? Um, Dylan Laube, he's still in Las Vegas. I mean, we could really just throw the draft if we wanted to, but we do not. I think Miles. I mean, gosh, I hope Miles Sanders is the guy we get. Let me just make sure I'm not on the clock and holding down the room. So we're up in 2 in here. We got the 7 hole. I'm not going to take Puka even if he falls to me because these teams have all been Puka teams. I'm on the clock here. I'll take Miles Sanders and I'll head back here and we will start this team with CMC. So we'll go back to this team. All right. Let's see. So we ended up getting Miles Sanders on this team. We're going to take 2 more running backs with our last 2 picks, but let's head over to the new team and pull it up and see if any of you guys got in to this room. All right. So we have shady advice in here. Oh God. I don't see any of you all. Why aren't you all in? Why is shady advice in here? What are you doing in here? Shady advice, for those of you who don't know, is one of the best best ball players, and so of course I am fully joking. I am excited to draft with him. It's always good to see what players like that are doing, and you can really learn a lot. So I'm excited to see shady advice in here. Who Hames says shady is in my room too. Well, you have to think that he is multi-tabling with the sidekick there. So shady advice out here in the morning best ball streets. Also, it has been an hour and 2 minutes, and I have not asked you all to like and subscribe. So please like and subscribe. That helps keeps this fledgling little stream flying along. And I so much enjoy hanging out with you all in the morning. Again, thank you all so much for your support. It means a ton to me to have you all in here hanging out, and I hope you're having a good morning. Not all the teams are going to be winners, but you know what? We're going to try. We're going to try different structures and just see what works for us. Well, we're Sim Shady. Please stand up. Whoham says pick 5 should be interesting. Did I miss it? Are you in here? No. Pick 5 should be interesting to watch what he does. I don't know if you're referring to Shady. Let's see. All right. I just want to make sure I'm not. I'm 2 picks away in here, and it will not take beyond 6 running backs. So let's just take Jarquez Hunter, and then let's go back to the other room. And then we'll just pull this one up full time. Go to the draft. And all right. So we started with CMC. By ADP, it's Henry. Do we want to do CMC Derrick Henry? And you know what? We're just going to channel our inner boomer and go CMC Henry here. We're going to just hope that we have the RB1 and 2 on this team. TCD1 also went double running back, so that's kind of interesting there. Yeah, we'll see. I don't build a lot like this. But we're going to build it together and see if we can't land the plane. Last time I took too many detours at receiver and I thought my team stunk, and we're going to try it again. We are going to try it again. And let's just take Keaton Mitchell and get out of this room. This was a 3-7-6-2 for the audio listeners, the other draft, with Josh Allen, an unstacked Geno Smith, an unstacked Sam Darnold, running back room of RJ Harvey, Jordan Mason, Tajay Spears, Braylon Allen, Miles Sanders, Jarquez Hunter, Keaton Mitchell, wide receiver room of Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, Cortland Sutton, Khalil Shakir, Luther Burden, Hollywood Brown, and a tight end room of George Kittle and Travis Kelce. This team looks like a waiver wire. Let's move on. Not the best crew we've assembled, but we're gonna redeem ourselves. We're gonna call this the Redeem Team and see if we can't build something a little better for us. 31. There is a big difference between picking here at the 7 hole and the 9 hole. You will get one of the better receivers here than you will there, where it really can be a little bit thinner. So hopefully something is good is coming to us in this room. Shady advice. Let's look at him. So he opens with CD Lamb and AJ Brown. And at pick 29, he takes winds the clock. The Sims are running. The computer is grinding, and he takes Trey McBride. Gets a nice falling value on Trey McBride there, at least compared to where he used to go. Chase Brown would be nice. Would it? I mean, that's a lot of that is a lot of of running backs. If I taken Chase Brown, I'm going to take JSN here over McLaurin. I think I prefer JSN this season to McLaurin. I do worry that JSN might be playing out of position with Cup there, but McLaurin really was somewhat of a touchdown merchant last season. I don't like not having him stacked. And if Jaden Daniels comes to me, I don't really want to have to make the decision of having one wide receiver through 4, because I think that is really, 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 really tough to dig out of, and not really the direction I want to take the team. So starting out, we've got Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, and JSN, and we are very likely to be adding a wide receiver with our next pick, unless something truly odd happens. Donnie Murphy, thank you so much for coming in. Hit the like, support them. And hey, thanks, Donnie. Thank you so much for your support and coming in. Huhaim says he's also pick 5 in my draft. I assume he's doing like 5 or 10 of them at once. Yeah. I struggle to do that. I mean, I don't like multi-tabling, even if I'm on desktop. I'm kind of a one at a time drafter. And it's hard enough for me to keep track of one team, let alone like 5 or 10. I suppose that is a case where having like a sidekick just telling you your stacks, telling you the bringbacks is going to save you a lot of time. Even if you don't go with like who it says to take or whatnot, that kind of information could make multi-tabling significantly easier. But again, thank you all so much for coming in. So far we're pacing to be done by 10. It's going to be a race against time, but I do like the streams where I can get at least 3 drafts in. I feel like we kind of hit our stride. And again, it gives us the chance to have some wonky drafts and talk about them a little bit, and then have something that's going to be a little more meat and potatoes. And I think this is going to be very meat and potatoes. I simply will not take George Kittle here. I think that's bad. DJ Moore is a bring back to CMC, but I'm like a little sketched out by DJ Moore. I have some concerns there with which is some of the coach speak and the general vibes. But I love Jameson Williams, but not necessarily having I could talk myself out of it because of the bye weeks. Let's take DJ Moore. I don't want to be fully out on him. It's right pretty much at ADP. It of course opens up Caleb as a potential quarterback, and I have such high exposure to JMO that again, I realized I didn't put the banner up, and people like the banner. Scrolling down now is my top exposures through 59 BBMs. I think I'm at like 63, so there's a few I haven't updated yet, but that will give you a general idea of who I like. And you know what? For this last 25 minutes, we're going to feed some ducks. So bear with me. The audio is going to get squirrely for a few seconds, but we will be rolling with the ducks. All right. Vice, he takes James Cook there. So he gets the James Cook, AJ Brown, week 17 stack. George Kittle falling to 45 in this room. Skeletor says 1 wide receiver through 4. I heard it was good to have 0 wide receivers through 8 last year. Yeah, that graphic was going around, and I don't think I fully understood how that would ever have been what worked. But yeah, I get the reference. But what I never understood was like what that actually was looking at. Like, was there like a concrete example of a team that would have actually won doing that? I don't know. That seems impossible unless you like really cherry pick everything. KY Bengals, however, says you simply can never have enough wide receivers. He takes Jamar Chase, Rashee Rice, T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton, and Jalen Waddle. So he might be hoping for the Giga Burrow push, but let's look at his name. Folks. KY Bengals. And remember, I think it was the last stream I said, sometimes you can get actionable info from a username. Like, I tried to once push Tua around a corner, and the guy's name was literally Tua Stan. and he took Tua unstacked. And it's like, yeah, I have only myself to blame. So it does seem stupid, but sometimes, like, if I saw this name, I would never try to push a Bengal past him if I was 50-50. I would just say, I need to take him because this guy is going to take the Bengal. All right, so let's see what we've got here. I think it makes sense to just take Calvin Ridley. Travis Hunter's been a little bit of a faller. I like Ridley quite a bit. It spreads out the bye week situation a bit, and it opens a late quarterback. So we'll just take our guy Ridley here. This wide receiver room is already better than the last one. I would take these 3 wide receivers versus the 6 I had on the last team. And yeah, don't mind the team. Chuba Hubbard going over to Shady Advice. So he goes 2 receivers, a tight end, and then 2 running backs. So Shady Advice building a very balanced team over there. And let's see what the room gives to us. 65 or 66, that's a good range. You can get, you can pretty much get either a running back or a receiver if you want. It's also kind of, if you're a big Laporta guy, Laporta is in here. If you feel like you're kind of set at the positions and you're waffling, he's fine. Or if somehow you ended up with like a Jordan Addison and wanted to bring back there, although Addison now this is kind of his more natural spot. You know, used to go earlier, now he goes around here. So let's see what's coming to us. Maybe we'll just take whatever the kind of ADP value is. The Packers are the bring back to my Derrick Henry situation. So this is a little bit early for Golden or Reed, but they may be there on the turn. So if I kind of pencil in a Packer, this leads me a little bit more to a running back. That's kind of my thought process here. However, Juwan Jennings might just make more sense than worrying about a bring back and then just building out a bet on the Niners. So I think my preference here will be Jennings, and Jennings vanishes from my queue before I can even click him. And let's take Caleb. I like Caleb Johnson a lot. David Montgomery's fine, but I kind of like swinging for the upside, especially when I have, you know, CMC and Henry there. I feel like I'd rather take a bigger swing, and I think Caleb is a bigger swing. And again, we're penciling in a Packer with our next selection. So, you know, I don't want to like get take lock and necessarily have to. If there's some, you know, Jordan Addison's there or something at my next pick, I'll just do that. But or probably Godwin, to be honest with you. But otherwise, you know, we'll put Golden and Reed in the queue and see if we get either of them. Ricky Pearsall goes, you know, maybe he made sense to build out the CMC bet. I feel a little better about Jennings than I do Pearsall. So I think that kind of tie broke it to me to the swinging back to a running back for myself. Shady Advice takes another running back. He takes DeAndre Swift. So maybe they over there at Leg Up are really accounting for Judkins being out of this range, knowing it gets thin, knowing at 77, he might not get a running back he wants. So I'm sure the, you know, I don't know if it's Shady. I don't want to say it's the sidekick if it's Shady Advice manually doing it, but, you know, either he or the sidekick is certainly accounting for the change in the landscape we have with a falling Judkins there. Timid 1387. You got some good beats in the background. Thanks. It is the stock music from StreamYard. This is a track called Feeding the Ducks, and I actually hear it in my head everywhere I go now. Is the Lions' new OC who is replacing Ben Johnson? I have faith. Dan Campbell. I got to get more. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he is tough as nails. Laporta is a machine as well. Yeah, I'm just acting like the Lions are going to hum along. I don't see why I would kind of. I'm not going to worry about that. Like I just can't. I'm going to assume that they're going to keep going, and those are all like really good, really good players that I want to be betting on. All right. Crander 47, I can only like and subscribe once. Well, I appreciate, just once is plenty. This is a nice fall on Debo. I think I just take the ADP value. I know I said I was going to take a Packer, but I think that's just getting a little too cute. I mean, Debo, they're going to scheme up a lot for this guy. I think we all want to bet on an ascendant Commanders offense. Golden really, he is a pure bring back. Like I wasn't drafting. I like the pick a lot, right? I would take him even if I didn't have Henry on the team, but I was prioritizing him because the ADP lined up and because of the bring back, but not enough to just discount the falling ADP value on Deebo Samuel there. So we'll add him to the team and see how it goes. The team is built tough. Yeah, I think it's just an offense I want to keep betting on. Their playoff schedule is really strong. They play all 3 games in a dome. Yes, they play the Steelers, but that game will be in at the Lions. And I actually, that game makes me like the Steelers. I think the Steelers might really get pushed in week 16. And that's going to be such a crucial week to get teams to the finals. It does make me like the Steelers, I think, a little more than the market does. Not a popular take. One I certainly could see failing, but that's where I'm at there. Dirty P, maybe he's multi-tabling and timed out. Yeah, Huhames mentioned that Shady took Judkins at 77. Yeah, I don't know. Still can take Kraft or Dobbs. DQ 105. You do not have to sell me on Kraft. I love Kraft, but yes, 100% agree with both of that. Kraft is likely to be a priority. I don't have any tight end on this team, and I'm kind of in the middle of the board, so I can control that. Really like Tucker Kraft a lot. Let's see what we want to do. Hawkinson, I like Hawkinson a lot. I find myself with a lot of him. Let's see. None of these quarterbacks here I need. I'm really out on Ayuk. Pittman is fine, but he's kind of boring. Cooper Kupp is sort of interesting. If I take Kupp, then maybe this is a, Sam Darnold team. Betting on Seattle is not the most fun bet you can make, but it is a bet. Let's do that. Let's take Cooper Kupp here and go with the Seattle double. This also means I could really back off of receiver. I could even end this team with 6 receivers in my opinion. Probably try to make this. This is definitely going to be a 3 QB team. I don't have any quarterbacks yet through 8 rounds. Maybe I take 2 kind of mid-tier tight ends and end at 2 tight ends. Again, just kind of thinking ahead, but want to remain flexible so far. Let's see what Shady Advice does. He takes Ayuk, so he ignores the FUD on Mr. Brandon Ayuk there and adds him to the team. Huam said there was time on the clock left when he selected, so all right. We're getting the investigative reporting. So yeah, very, very interesting. Not taking any kind of dip on Judkins or a very small dip there if you get him at 77. Yeah, interesting. Huam says it is for sure a bet. Yeah. Don't want to get too far down the road, but I think I don't want to like fully exclude him from the player pool. I'll probably just take him around whatever his new ADP is, maybe at or slightly below market. I don't want to like load up on the pick. I don't want to fully be out. I kind of just want to learn more information before taking any kind of firm stand on that. I just don't think we know enough to if you're making a big stand one way or the other, you're not doing it with complete information. And if you're right, you're kind of just, you're lucky that you're right. And if you're wrong, then you made a not great bet on that situation there. All right, let's see. Board coming around to us. I do love my Cam Scatabo here, but I think Mark Andrews is the more adult pick. If Mark Andrews goes, I should take Evan Ingram because I do want a tight end in this team. Purdy's fine. Purdy, McCaffrey can certainly get you there, but let's take a tight end. If I take a tight end here and then somehow I'm able to get Andrews and Kraft, let's see, where do I pick? I pick 127 and 136 is like in the ideal world. McCarthy's at 127 and Kraft is at, where are you? Kraft is at 126. Okay. He used to go a little later. So that, if I want that stack, I got to take one of them now. So let's see what the alternatives are. I definitely need a quarterback though. If Caleb comes to me, I should probably just take Caleb. Our quarterback options are Caleb, Ward, and of course our Sam Darnold. Really a motley crew of QB room. If I take if I take Kraft, then potentially Love, but obviously your quarterback and your second tight end is, it's not outrageous, but not the most ideal. We'll see. If Brock Purdy comes to us, I'll probably just take Brock Purdy. Even with Caleb and DJ Moore, I really like the upside of Purdy quite a bit there. And, it's done. It's not never done, but I'm certainly open to the idea of that being a kind of an interesting starting point to the team. I rate Purdy kind of significantly ahead of Caleb, but I don't know. That could be getting a little too cute. Hopefully, I'm able to get one of those options. If they both go, then I might just take Scatabo and then just figure I'll cobble together whatever comes to us. So again, I don't know. I don't know if I should take Purdy or Caleb here. This is kind of a big decision. I might be just getting a little cute by taking Purdy. I think I ultimately was going to settle on Caleb there. Certainly something to be said if Caleb went that I should take like a Drake May and just go, try to backstack him and take his rushing upside. But let's just take Caleb Williams here, a little bit past ADP, stack him with DJ Moore. So now we're not totally frozen at quarterback, and now Shady Advice is on the clock. All right. Skeletor says, how do you think this having not signed plays into the Judkins stuff? Yeah, it's certainly a factor, but I'd find it a little more relevant if more of these second round picks were signed, but it's like endemic. Like the second round picks just aren't signed, like other than Higgins and one other, I think like a defensive player. There's something going on with the second round picks and the way that contract's working out. So it's definitely just one of the many pieces of the puzzle, but I don't know that I rate that as more anywhere near as important as the kind of legal stuff and really just the fact pattern. If it's bad enough to where Goodell has to step in and put him on the commissioner's exempt list, but we just don't know what the allegations are right now to know if that's going to happen. Timid says, I feel like the San Francisco Wilders are like ultra gritty. I asked to pass the block bunch. And for someone coming off a brutal knee injury, he may be hesitant to get back on the trenches. I assume you are talking about oh yes, I missed your thing. You were talking about Ayuk. Yeah, I agree with that. And Ayuk, man, he it just doesn't seem like the Niners like him. Like they re-signed him and then seemed like they immediately tried to trade him. And the vibe is off there. Albuquerque, I wonder what people say when I'm in their rooms. I know who hates it. I like drafting with the people I know. I'm drafting so many teams this summer. Like I'm going to be in rooms with all strangers and then all people I know. Like I just different textures. I am really never too worried about that. Let's just take Tucker Kraft here, and if we can get a falling Jordan Love, we will just snap call that. Yeah, I think that's where we are going to go. Who Hames Who Hames accusing Al Boogie of hating it when he's in the room? I doubt that Who Hames actually hates it. Free rake love Mooncat. Nobody thinks that, Mooncat. We know you build good teams in there. Dirty P, not a popular take, but Kubiak's offense fills Darnold well. Wide zone, boots, play action spots. If Darnold can't succeed there, he won't anywhere. I think the fear is that he won't anywhere, but Dirty P, I agree. I take plenty of Darnold. And I take a lot of MVS because Kubiak brought him over. I think MVS is like live to be the last receiver on this team, and we'll make this a Darnold triple. I think he's a great pick, and I think Milroe is such a project player that if Darnold gets benched at the end of the season, it's because Darnold stinks and the bet was wrong anyway. I don't think there's additional Milroe risk. I think if you're baking in Milroe risk, you're double counting Darnold being bad risk, right? If Darnold is bad, the bet has failed and it's over. And if they bring in Milroe, then it doesn't matter. You were already cooked. Now, Al Boogie's waving to who? Oh, you love it. He loves when he's in the room saying that he's supposed to start sleeping for 24 hours. I just got to pull up, what am I doing at quarterback. Where does Cam Ward go? Cam Ward, this is way too early to take Cam Ward. I don't have any kind of back stack. Let's see. Let's just see what the room is presenting us. Buy Shell Tootin and then a bunch of tight ends. I don't want another tight end. I don't really want an unstacked quarterback. I'm just going to take... this is a very Tootin team. With CMC, Henry, and Caleb, I can take a shot on a... I could take a big shot on a running back who might come along kind of slowly. The word hasn't been amazing for Tootin out of camp, but it still is so early in this summer. I'm not going to panic yet. But I think Tootin makes a large amount of sense on this team. For the audio listeners, we are 1-4-5-2. Caleb Williams, CMC, Derrick Henry, Caleb Johnson, Bishal Tootin, with a wide receiver room of JSN, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, Debo Samuel, and Cooper Kupp, and a tight end room of Mark Andrews and Tucker Kraft. So likely to be a 3-6-7-2 team. Obviously, I'm never lock into that, but that's sort of the way things are looking on this team. All right. Shady just took Tua unstacked in my room. I had freak. Maybe Shady's just maybe the sidekick has a troll mode and you can just put the usernames of guys you just want to stick it to and it gets I'm just kidding. That would be a pretty amazing feature if they had that, where it's just like, oh, you see this name and you're just like snipe mode and just pick who you want it to auto snipe. Who Ames got 8 hours of sleep. Well, 6 and 2 trying to sleep longer. Yeah, brutal, man, brutal. I have a child who does everything but sleep, and he goes to bed late and he wakes up early, and that is just life. I'm just gonna take Cam Ward here because if I don't get this stack, I think I'm pretty cooked. And yeah, let's stack Cam Ward and Ridley here. Let's see. So we have our second and third receivers stacked. But again, I have learned in my life that pushing the quarterback I need for like Xavier Legette or Tyler Algier just does not feel good. So we'll get that stack there. And then Darnold at 176. We are up at 175. The problem is if I don't get the Darnold double, I'm really, really going to regret it versus taking guys in this range. So I think I'm just going to take him there. I know this is a little cowardly. I was going to say Romeo Doubs was the one name I might have pushed it for. But again, these are all kind of punty bets. I like all these players individually. I think they all would be perfectly fine, but I think this team without Darnold feels kind of bad. So I know that's a terrible, like if I zoom out and I heard myself saying without Darnold, this team feels bad. It's kind of weird, but I did go out of my way to build the Darnold double. And if I don't get that, then I'm not happy. Geno Smith going here kind of just seals the deal. I'm just going to take Sam Darnold. What this enables me to do is just kind of take my favorite remaining running backs and receivers and just call it a day here. We're going to get very close to getting out of here at 10. We might bleed in slightly, but that is where we are at. Skeletor, if you had a gun to your head and had to call how the Judkins stuff plays out, what's your prediction? That's tough. I mean, I really just don't know the facts. I don't know. I imagine he does. I think if there's a gun to my head, I have to make a call. I can't just flake out like a normal lawyer answer. If gun to my head, I say he plays this year. But again, like if fact pattern is something horrible, if there's anything on video, we know that was a huge driver in the Ray Rice stuff. Like we all know what happened, but then once we saw it, then it was like, okay, this guy is never going to play football again, or was out for a very extended period of time. We just don't know. We really just don't know enough to make a call. So it is so hard to say. And we just, without the facts, we're just really just speculating here. There was a lawyer who commented on some of the streams, basically said if there's an altercation between the breadwinner and the family, they drop the charges. Yeah, Al Boogie, I have worked in courts before, and that's been, unfortunately, that is how things often go, is that after a few days pass, the victim in a case, who, if they're reliant on the perpetrator, if the perpetrator goes to jail, then they're not going to be able to live their life. And it's just very complicated, very, difficult stuff. And it is tough. It is tough. And I just hope that, it's all resolved amicably and everyone's, all right. It stinks. It stinks that it's something that happens. And, but what doesn't stink is getting Rico Dowdle. God, that was brutal. All right. We're just going to take Rico Dowdle. Yeah. It's just tough to talk about. Like we all do these like best ball and fantasy stuff to kind of like escape the horrors of the real world. And then occasionally those trickle in here and it is tough and it can just be very sad. Whohame says, Juwan Jennings wants a trade or contract just seen. Not sure if this is true. This day is spiraling downward. If Juwan Jennings wants a new contract, just don't do this. Do not do this to me. Terrence Charles, fellow attorney, says Juwan Jennings making demands. What is going on? Yeah, the world has turned upside down. Al Boogie says, I was joking before. I enjoy drafting with people I know as well. Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, Whoams, please say it's false about Jennings. God, I know. Greg says, Skeletor trying to get me in compromising positions on Monday. Free QJ because I drafted so much of him. Certified bad guy. Yeah, it's from a football perspective, we Slappies have loaded up on the rookies, and that is a tough one. Ricky P to the moon, says Whohames. Dirty P is praying. DQ105, yeah, Niners. CMC to the moon. That is a take I will stand with you on there. Let's see. I'll cue it up in this order. Shipley and Sanders. And we'll probably just take a couple late darts on Titans and Seahawks receivers and just make this next pick one of the running backs. Terrence is at 40%. Ricky P and 0 Jennings seems to, well, Terrence hopes for some kind of terrible holdout. Lay the House RM has too much Tootin. If you see the scroll, he's scrolling by right now, 25% buy shell Tootin. My God, that is in my BBM exposures. It is too much Tootin there. And we are going to end this team with, where are you? We're going to take MVS. And then I am going to queue up. I'm going to put Restrepo in. I'm going to put in Restrepo in honor of Pete and Best Ball Breakfast. Famously, I think it was last week that he got bullied into taking Restrepo by the chat. I'm going to pay homage to him. After Restrepo, I will queue up the other myriad of receivers there in Tennessee. So in the ideal world, we'll get MVS in one of them. I know it is basically 10 and people will be hopping over to Pete's stream, but I appreciate you so much for coming by. We have a 3-6-5-2 that's going to end with 2 more receivers. We've got Caleb Williams, Cam Ward, Sam Darnold, running back room of CMC, Derrick Henry, Caleb Johnson, By Shell Tootin, Rico Dowdle, and Miles Sanders, a wide receiver room of JSN, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, Debo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, and we'll soon be adding MVS, and then one of Restrepo, Lockett, or Io Minor, and Mark Andrews and Tucker Kraft at tight end. All right. Whohame says, yes, CMC, Kittle. It's been everything has broken Kittle's way this offseason, and you love to see it. Prayers up from DQ105. FML, Juwan has leverage. Your schedule is easy, and they know Ayuk is not available. That is a good point there. Al Boogie, Whohame's 40% Ricky at Terrence. Love a stand. Can't make that one that big, but respect it 100%. I mean, we've got to live with these teams, and you can't blame anyone else for your percentages. So I agree with that. If you want to make strong takes, then that is awesome. Dirty P, we may have to learn Jordan Watkins in San Francisco. Dirty P, come on. Come on. Keen into San Francisco. Remember when I said that would be sweet? Oh my God. This is just nightmares unfolding. Maybe that is possible, says Whoames. Or Cowling is the next Jerry Rice. Cowling for the bit equity. All right, we're going to add MVS to the team because anytime you can do a Darnold triple, you got to do it. Lay the House RM says ignore the news, win all the money. Love that. Lay the House RM. Please no Juwan, says Grander. Lay the House with Sage. Lay the House knows what he's talking about. He is one of the good ones in the sports betting straights. And Whohame says the scrolling exposure is basically Randy March nuts in the wheelbarrow. Whohames, I am nothing if not an open book, my friend. I will tell people my exposures. I will give my takes, and they could be way off. But We love to see it. All right, 8 picks left, and we will be out of here once again. So close to getting done by 10, but just spilled over. Greg loves it. Yahoo Ames, yeah. I love the analogy there. And again, you know what? I will simply let the people know what those exposures are. Thanks, Slay the House RM. Slay the House RM. We met at King of the Beach in DraftKings 2 years ago, and it was so much fun hanging out with Lay the House RM, and hopefully at the World Championship this year, or maybe they'll bring back King of the Beach, because that was awesome down in Miami. One more pick: Restrepo, Lockett, or Io Manor. With this wide receiver room really having a lot of veterans and kind of guys that pretty sure are going to be production, I'm willing to take the most Puka-y pick in this bunch, which I think is Restrepo. So we're going to end this team with Restrepo and then sign off. Again, thank you so much. If you can, like and subscribe if you haven't already. This was a really fun stream, and then I'm going to hop off, and then I'm going to tune into to Best Ball Breakfast. KJC 1989 does not go on autopilot for their last pick. He takes Juwan Johnson, and we will take Mr. Restrepo. Jstro 1 winding the clock down. He takes Jarquez Hunter. So we take Restrepo. That will do it. Thank you all so much for coming by, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone.